So this is 8.1b as in boy in trigonometry, complex numbers. We're an operation on complex numbers. Now, there's a couple things that you need to know. This times sign is not equal to this, because this is the square root of positive 36, which is 6. This is equal to 2i times 3i, which is 6i squared. And I equals the square root of negative 1. So if we square I, we get square root of negative 1 times square root of negative 1, which is negative 1 when you take the radical signs off. Because if you remember, negative 1, when you have a radical sign and you square it, the squared sign and the radical sign go away. So this gives you negative 6 for an answer. So this gives you that, and this gives you that. All right, let me go over this with you again really quick. All right, so when we have square root of negative 1, that equals I. When we square the square root of negative 1, what happens? The square root sign and the exponent leave. Okay, it's kind of like having 9 square root and then you square it. Square root of 9 is 3, squared is 9, so basically these go away and you're left with what was in there. Okay, same thing that happened here. Alright, if we're going to take, so I squared is actually negative 1. Another thing that we know is that I cubed equals negative I, and I to the 4th equals 1. And if you look in the blue box on page 337, it gives you all of these. Anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself. So let's look at some products here from the example that we were given. Example 4, we've got square root of negative 7 times the square root of negative 7. That equals, and this is a very, very important piece of doing these. Always get the negative out of the radical sign before you multiply or divide. So we're going to write this, we're going to take that I out, and that I out. And that gives me I squared times 7, because square root of 7 times the square root of 7 is the square root of 49. Square root of 49 is 7. This times this is I squared. And I squared is equal to negative 1. So it's negative 1 times 7, which is negative 7. So this is a key thing. I squared equals negative 1. That's going to be very helpful to you. Alright, so let's keep going here. Get rid of my writing here. Alright, square root of negative 6 times the square root of negative 10. Again, get your negatives out of there first. That gives me I squared times the square root of 60. And the square root of 60 can be reduced to the square root of 4 times 15. Square root of 4 is 2. So I'll pull that out. I squared, we said, is negative 1. And we get that for an answer. Okay, so I can go really fast through these. Been doing them for a long time. I don't expect them to come that super easy for you. Square root of negative 20. This is the C part of example 4. I say all that, and then I'll end up making some silly mistake. Alright, so again, we're going to take out the negative signs here. So we have I square root of 20 over I square root of 2. Okay, I over I is 1, so those are going to go away. Square root of 20 we can reduce to the square root of 4 times 5, which is 2 square root of 5. And that's over the square root of 2. But we don't like the radical in the denominator, so 2 square root of 10 over 2. Cancel, and we get the square root of 10. Another option, might save you time, the square root of 20 over the square root of 2 is the same as the square root of 20 over 2, which is the square root of 10. So either way you want to get the answer works. Alright, last one here in this kind of example is square root of negative 48 over square root of 24. And again, we get that negative sign out of there. And then we simplify our square root of 48. But I'm going to try what I did a minute ago. And I can do that and get I times 2. So I end up with 2I for my answer there. But I forgot, I took the radical sign off and I shouldn't have done that. So you get square root of 2I or I square root of 2, whichever way you want to write it. And so let's go on to addition and subtraction of complex numbers. And we'll do that in the next video.